Hey everybody, just want to make this video to help those of you that enjoy seeing instructions from me rather than just reading them on your own. But just know that this video is optional. If you would rather start the Unit 2 test, it is on Canvas, and there's instructions on there and examples to help you get started. So feel free to jump into Canvas instead of watching this video if you prefer. If you're still watching this video, that means that you would like some help and would like to see things done rather than having to go and read things on your own. So today we are going to do the second part of our Unit 2 test. I decided to split up our test into two different activities. I just figured it'd be better to kind of break things up rather than do it all in one big chunk. Since we're doing school from home, it's a little bit harder. Okay, so this test is meant to specifically assess your abilities to identify, develop, execute, and assess a solution to a problem. Now I'm going to jump into Canvas and show you what the Unit 2 test looks like. There we go. Maybe. There we go. Okay, I'll move this to this side, perhaps move it over here so we can see it better. All right, so this is very similar to our assignment that we did for day 32, which is where you guys wrote a flowchart. Yeah, it's basically that, but it's a little bit different. For part 2, what you're going to do is you're going to decide what the problem is, and then you're going to come up with the flowchart for that problem. And it can literally be anything. You can choose any problem you want to. You can make it silly if you want to. I mean, you can probably see my example here. I made an example of how to make an amazing quesadilla because I'm a self-proclaimed quesadilla master. And so I figured I could bless you guys with my instructions for making a quesadilla. Excuse my arrogance. Okay, I'll kind of briefly go through the instructions here. So first off, you want to choose if you want to complete this assignment on the computer or on paper. I personally like paper, and that's why I wrote mine out. But if you'd like to do it on a computer, here is a file that you can use, and that should be helpful. If you're doing it on paper, the bigger the paper you have, the better, so that the more room you have. And if you are doing it on paper and you run out of room, feel free to have a second sheet of paper that you continue it onto, continue your flow chart, and then just submit both papers. Okay, so you're going to write a title which lists what problem you are solving. So here on my example, you can see that I'm solving how to make a quesadilla. So if you wanted to do a problem of how to help your car start, how to get a job, how to find a date if you want to. I had someone do that. That one was a pretty good one last year. And then step 3, you're going to write down all of the steps and instructions for how to solve the problem. Okay, so you're going to write down as much as you can, right? Take them from having the problem not solved to ending with the problem solved and having it fixed. Okay, and then you're going to submit it here on Canvas. And if you do it on paper, I would just suggest that you take a picture of your paper like I did here, and then just upload it and submit it as a file upload. If you're doing it on this file, then you're going to submit it as a Google Doc. Now the requirements say that you're going to start your flowchart at the beginning, identifying that you have a problem. So here in my example, the problem is that you're hungry, potentially, right? If you're not hungry, then it takes you over to the other option. Now, end your flowchart where you have successfully solved your problem. So at the end of my flowchart here, which it might look a little bit chaotic, is problem solved, you have a quesadilla, and you can serve the quesadilla with salsa verde because that's an excellent combo to quesadillas. Now, let's go back to requirement number 3. It says include a minimum of 6 steps in your flowchart, which includes the beginning and the end. Okay, so I'm going to show you mine. So I've got the beginning, that's 1. Then it goes to the yes to here, that would be 2. Through the yes and no to here, that's 3, to 4, to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So I have 14 steps. And you'll probably have quite a few, right? You want to have at least 6, so don't be afraid if you start having more than 6, because that's going to be normal. Now keep in mind that I did not count the yeses and nos as a step. Those aren't steps, okay? That's part of one step. So here, for example, where it says, is the bottom of the tortilla starting to bubble? Yes or no, that's all one step there. So don't make that mistake of counting yeses and nos as a separate step, because then you won't get full points for this assignment, for this test, sorry. Okay, now step number 4, this is the big one. This is the other one that I'm gonna especially be looking for, is it says that all no responses must have an option that allows them to loop back into becoming a yes, or at least leaving you with a viable solution. So here, if you encounter a no in your steps, you have to have a way to turn it into a yes. That's the problem solving aspect. If it just became a no and stayed there, problem not solved. Okay, so here it says, are you hungry? And the answer is no. Then I have an answer for it. Read these instructions when you are hungry. Okay, so if you were following these instructions and you weren't hungry, then you know, okay, I'm just going to wait until I'm hungry, and then I'm going to come back and read these instructions. And you'll notice that all of my no's have a way to come back to becoming a yes, potentially. Okay, so make sure you're doing that. Have all of your no's loop back into becoming a yes, or give them a viable solution. I'm trying to think if I can come up with a good example for you, what that looks like right now. Maybe you could say, for here I have an example of, do you need a job? And if the answer is, I have a job, then that would be a viable solution. Like you already have one, or you're happy with your job, or you can't get hired. Something like that. Something that is impossible to come back into being a yes, but it's a good like answer. It's not a no. If you're confused by that, if that doesn't make sense, feel free to email me, and I'll try to do better at clarifying and making sense of what that means. I apologize, I'm kind of caught on the spot and don't have a good example for you with that right now. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to give you guys at least today and then probably next class to do this, because I want you to take time on it. It's a test. Don't feel rushed. Feel free to choose a problem that's fun, but make sure you go through it and actually solve it. Think it through. My other suggestion would be, show this to somebody. Have somebody review it, and I'll probably actually include that in here. You'll probably see it when you go on campus. I'll have that tip in there. But show it to somebody. Have someone review it and give you feedback. Okay? Because if it's well crafted and well made, then you'll get full points. If you are missing some things, then you're not going to get full points and have to redo it. And that would be a bummer. Okay, let me know what questions you have. You guys have an awesome day, and hope to hear from you guys soon.